Hello BookTube. In this video I want to add my announcement to the other New World November announcement videos that have been making the rounds the last few days. New World's November is a BookTube reading event created by the Bookish Bryants and hosted by the Bookish Bryants and a number of other booktubers, myself included, in which in the month of November we will be reading science fiction short stories. There are weekly prompts that if you don't particularly want to follow along with those prompts, you don't have to, but if you are interested in following along, the prompts are aliens, artificial intelligence, time travel, and dystopian or apocalyptic. I'm going to be picking one big anthology to read over the course of November. My goal is to read them during the weekends, so I can get about 400 pages, ideally, of the anthology read each weekend, and then over the course of the work week, read some nonfiction for Nonfiction November, which I will do that TBR towards the end of October, when I have a better idea of what books those are, although they will be on the shorter side, almost certainly. I'd originally planned to read science books or books that in some way related to the 4 prompts. I do have a book on aliens. In the book on artificial intelligence, I do have a book that in part can kind of relate to that, although it's more about physics. But the other 2, time travel, which I guess the physics books could deal with that too, because it's Physics of the Impossible by Michio Kaku. But like the dystopic, post-apocalyptic, I don't really have anything for that, and I'm not entirely sure I'll be able to pick anything up in the few weeks I have left before November. But anyway, getting back to the fiction, I am planning to read The Big Book of Science Fiction, edited by Anne and Jeff Vandermeer. This is a huge anthology that runs the gamut of science fiction from its beginnings to the near present. So it starts with The Star by H.G. Wells and ends with Baby Doll by Joanna Sinisalo. The book contains not only American and British science fiction writers and short stories, but also from myriad other countries and languages. I recently picked this book up in large part for New World's November, because I did want to read a big anthology, but I wanted one to run the gamut of science fiction's history, not just like a limited year or theme, but the entirety of science fiction. And while I do have 3 other anthologies that do that, the Ascent of Wonder and the Hard SFF or the Hard SF Renaissance, edited by David G. Hartwell and Kathryn Cramer. The Ascent of Wonder came out in the early 90s, so it's roughly about 30 years in the gamut of science fiction there are 30 years worth of new science fiction that isn't included. And the evolution of hard, or the hard SF Renaissance, came out about 10 years later, and again is about 20 years missing. Also have the space opera Renaissance by or edited by Hartwell and Cramer, which again it came out in the early 2000s, so there's a good 20 years of science fiction that obviously would be missing. There are also, I do have a few other anthologies that I had thought about going for, but I think I'm going to go with, but I will be going with the Big Book of Science Fiction, edited by the Vandermeers. And I will, I don't know if I will do a separate video to report on these books, or if I will just start off weekly reads with my New Worlds November catch-up, and then in the second half do the nonfiction catch-up. That I'm not entirely sure. But I don't think I'm going to do a separate wrap-up, but we shall see. So anyway, BookTube, that was my New Worlds November announcement video. I will leave a link to the Bookish Bryant's official announcement, as well as Steve Donahue and Sean D. Standfast. I know they've done one. I'm not entirely sure if any of the other participants have yet, or if we'll be doing them over the course of October. And for a quick bit of housekeeping, obviously I had planned on doing this video tomorrow, but I have an errand to run tomorrow that I was going to do today, but I pushed it back to tomorrow, so I'll be doing that during my regular filming time. And if you're at all curious as to why I seemed a bit rushed at the end of the T-Tag, I was being summoned to take care of a problem that had to be done. So anyway, that's all I have for today, BookTube. Thank you, have a great afternoon, and I will see, and stay safe. And I will see you hopefully with a new video on Thursday, and if not, then I will definitely see you on Friday with weekly reads. Thank you, BookTube.